Let's start with the topical news. Beaver Stadium, trustees approved the $700 million renovation. What will it ultimately do for your program?
Yeah, I think it's obviously about Penn State football, but it's so much more than that. The impact of Penn State football, our home games, for the other 30 sports on campus. Our games are a huge recruiting opportunity for all the other sports. Obviously, as football does well, it impacts all the other sports financially as well, the community. But I think at the end of the day, we want to be able to have the opportunity to have more concerts. We just had a Luke Combs Stadium concert, sold out, 80,000, the biggest crowd he'd ever performed in front of. Maybe be able to get the Flyers in there against the Penguins, things like that. Just, it'll create an opportunity for not only for the stadium, but really for the community as well. Ton of different resources that I think will be impactful long-term for Penn State.
You a country music guy?
No, but I went to the concert and I tailgated for my first time ever. It was awesome, walking around having a hot thing, because everybody tailgated before the concert.
Hold on, you tailgated for the first time ever in your life?
Hot dog, it was awesome, walking around, people are happy. I'm like, this is cool.
That's the other side of coaching.
That's the other side, yeah.
What's the overall assessment for you coming out of spring ball in terms of addressing whatever needs you felt like you guys had to address after last year?
Yeah, I think good. Obviously, we've had some turnover. Lost a defensive coordinator to go be the head coach at Duke, and really happy for him, but that caused some challenges. Made a change at offensive coordinator and bringing Coach Kotelnicki in, and then obviously Tom, with the defensive side of the ball, being a Big Ten guy, a lot of value in that, and then also on special teams. So we've had a ton of turnover. With our three coordinators, and Coach Lustig coming in as our special teams coordinator, Tom Allen as our defensive coordinator. So that's probably the biggest changes. But I will also say this, we hired three guys that have a similar background and philosophical perspective on all this, offense, defense, and special teams, that the adjustment wasn't as significant as I thought it was going to be.
Speaking of philosophy, I talked with Pat yesterday about visions for the football program. He said, James and I have the exact same vision. It's to win them all. It's to win them all every year because there can't be any other vision. From a football coach's perspective, what makes an athletic director a good partner?
Well, I think the fact that Pat, this isn't the end-all be-all, but the fact that Pat played football in the Big Ten, I think that just creates an opportunity where he understands a lot of things without even having to explain it, right? He's lived it. It's kind of like recruiting a kid who is a coach's kid, and they understand the game at a different level than others. I think he understands the challenges. So being able to have Pat in that leadership position at Penn State, and he's waking up every single morning trying to figure out how we win championships. We got a great president, Neely Bendapudi. That alignment is critical, and it starts with Pat. Pat's been great, and as you know, he's got great energy. I worry about him on the sideline, like he's trying to get on the field and attack the officials. So he's been great.
Yeah, I joke with him that watching him sometimes inside Rec Hall for the wrestling duels, I'm afraid that he's going to try to convince Kale to put him in as a replacement at heavyweight.
Yeah, it's not just football. He's like that.
Well, he's
with
like that with every
sports.
single sport. Yeah. Listen, I know your program is a national program. You recruit from coast to coast already. How does the addition of the new schools affect the way your program operates?
I think it obviously helps all of us from a visibility standpoint. As you know, though, State College is not the easiest place to get into.
Fair statement.
Or out of. So that still has an impact on us. But I think from a visibility standpoint, there's no doubt about it. It opens more doors and more regions than we've ever had.
What has to happen schedule-wise to make this work?
Yeah, obviously we put a ton of work in and talking to NFL teams and college teams that have played, these coast-to-coast games. They're challenging. There's no doubt about it, but making sure that we have a plan that's in the student-athlete's best interest and in our team's best interest, also aligns with the university's philosophies when it comes down to how much time they can miss a school, getting adjusted to the weather, getting adjusted to the time zones, all those things. Because then you also have the possibility of late games on the West Coast and then how it impacts your next game. So there's a lot of things that we have to factor in, but we've done a ton of homework. We've already gone out and done site visits. And I think we got a really good plan. I also think the Big Ten's got pretty good perspective of how they have to schedule. If you are going to play a night game, how does that impact the following week? Because that's going to be critical for all of us.
With litigation ongoing as we speak, NIL could be changed forever. It's already changed so much. Guys from your program have kind of been above or ahead of the curve already. I mean, Sean Clifford and what he was doing in that space was way ahead of most student athletes, most schools at that point. As a coach, how do you envision what that will do in the way that your program operates in terms of getting guys or being able to keep guys, or what it means for your program in the overall NIL space of college football?
I think it's critical, right? The reality is when the rules change, I don't care what industry you're in, you got to change with the rules, and you got to be bold and aggressive within them. So it's probably the most critical point right now in college athletics, that and the transfer portal, how you're handling those things. What are the conversations like in your building? And do your players and their parents feel comfortable having transparent, honest conversations, and vice versa? So I think we've done a pretty good job with it, but we still got a ton of work to do.
Is this the biggest year kind of transition and, I guess, uncertainty that you can recall in your career, not just from your program, but I mean from college football as a whole?
Well, I would think the first thing is when the transfer portal and NIL, two of the major changes in college athletics history, all happen at one time. I think that, but now obviously we're on the next phase in terms of litigation and some other things, how this is going to work moving forward. It's in that conversation, but we just have had a ton of change in the last 5 years of college football in general.
But now, and we'll finish with this, you have to focus and get ready for week 1 of the 2024 season. So what is the biggest focus between now and then?
Well, obviously, we're on the road at West Virginia, which is a great regional game. It'll be a heck of an environment. They came to our place last year and a heck of a game. So that's really kind of our focus. We got to get to camp as fast and as healthy and as aggressive as we possibly can be. Do a great job getting ahead academically so our guys can earn master's degrees, and put ourselves in the best position to have a great training camp and play well in week 1, so not only can we find a way to win the game, but also build confidence going in the game too.